At some point, you noticed something strange about yourself. You didn't hate people. You just started enjoying your own company. Group conversations began to feel exhausting. Long phone calls started to feel unnecessary. And sometimes, when plans got canceled, you felt something most people wouldn't admit: relief. You could stay home. No social expectations. No emotional energy spent trying to keep conversations alive. Just quiet. But eventually someone noticed. They asked the question people always ask: why are you always alone? And the strange part is, you didn't really know how to answer. Because from the outside, it looks like isolation. But from the inside, it feels like peace. You weren't always like this. There was a time when you tried harder to fit into social circles. You joined conversations. You attended gatherings. You laughed at things you didn't find funny. You stayed longer than you wanted to. Because somewhere along the way, most people learn a rule about life. Being alone means something is wrong. So you tried. You showed up. You gave your energy to conversations that never really interested you. You listened to stories that repeated themselves. You participated in social rituals that felt strangely empty. Until eventually, you started noticing something. You always felt more drained after being around people. Not energized. Drained. And that realization changes something. Because once you recognize the pattern, your brain starts asking a different question. Why am I spending energy in places that give nothing back? Your brain is not broken. There's a common misconception about people who prefer being alone. Many assume they lack social ability. But psychology research often shows the opposite. People who enjoy solitude frequently have higher levels of internal cognitive activity. Their mind is already busy. They are thinking, analyzing, reflecting, which means external stimulation isn't always necessary. For someone whose thoughts are already active, silence isn't empty. It's productive. Your brain is still working. You're replaying conversations, solving problems, connecting ideas, processing emotions. Solitude becomes a space where the mind can operate without interruption. And for certain personalities, that environment feels natural. The hidden reason many people prefer solitude. Psychologists have studied a trait called high sensory processing sensitivity. People with this trait process information more deeply than average. They notice subtle details others miss, small changes in tone, body language, emotional shifts in a room. That heightened awareness has advantages, but it also comes with a cost. Social environments contain an enormous amount of information. Every conversation, every facial expression, every emotional signal. Your brain processes all of it, which means something most people never realize. Social interaction requires significantly more mental energy for you than it does for others. So when you step away from people, it isn't rejection, it's recovery. Your nervous system is simply resetting. Why solitude feels so good. When you're alone, something changes inside your brain. Your nervous system moves into a calmer state. The constant background processing stops. Your attention narrows. Your thoughts slow down. Research shows that periods of solitude can actually increase creativity, problem solving. When external noise disappears, the brain finally has room to organize itself. That's why some of your clearest insights happen when you're alone. Walking, driving, sitting quietly. Your brain is doing something powerful. It's integrating everything you've experienced. The difference between loneliness and solitude. People often confuse two very different states. Loneliness is the absence of connection you want. Solitude is the presence of peace you chose. One feels like emptiness, the other feels like freedom. And if you're someone who prefers being alone, you've probably noticed something interesting. You don't feel lonely most of the time. You feel calm. Your environment becomes predictable. Your thoughts become clearer. And for the first time in a while, your emotional energy belongs to you, not to everyone else. Why some people misunderstand this. The world is built around extroversion, social energy, constant interaction, large networks. But human psychology is not identical for everyone. Some minds operate differently. Instead of gaining energy from social stimulation, they gain clarity from quiet environments. For these individuals, solitude is not an absence of life. It's where life actually becomes easier to process. The surprising strength of people who enjoy being alone. People who are comfortable with solitude often develop an ability many others struggle with: self-sufficiency. When you're comfortable being alone, you no longer depend on constant validation. You don't need people around you to confirm your thoughts. You don't need external noise to distract your mind. You become comfortable with your own perspective, and that changes how you move through the world. Because once you're comfortable with solitude, something powerful happens. You stop tolerating relationships that drain you. You stop chasing attention. You stop forcing connections that don't feel genuine. Your social circle becomes smaller, but it also becomes more intentional. The real reason solitude feels right for you. For some people, being alone isn't about avoiding others. It's about finally hearing themselves. In constant social environments, your thoughts are interrupted. Your attention is divided. Your emotional energy gets distributed across dozens of interactions. But when you're alone, your mind belongs to you again. You can think clearly. You can reflect honestly. You can understand yourself without outside influence. And that process can be incredibly powerful. The truth most people discover later. A long-term study conducted by Harvard followed participants for more than 75 years to understand human happiness. The conclusion surprised many researchers. Happiness is not determined by the number of relationships you have. It's determined by the quality of them. A few genuine connections matter far more than a large network of shallow ones. Which means something important. Preferring solitude doesn't mean rejecting people. It means being selective about who deserves access to your time and energy. So if you're someone who genuinely enjoys being alone, there is a good chance nothing is wrong with you. Your mind may simply operate differently. You might process the world more deeply. You might notice patterns others overlook. You might require quiet space in order to think clearly. And if that's true, solitude isn't isolation. It's simply the environment where your mind works best. And once you understand that, being alone stops feeling like something to explain. It starts feeling like something to protect.